So in this video today, I'm gonna go over some of the things that I do in my garden in the beginning of the season that really help to ensure a fruitful and kind of an easier maintainable garden in the long run. I put in a 52-hour week this past week. It's Saturday. It's gonna be like 96 degrees today, but gotta get it done. So I'm gonna show you some things that it takes maybe 10 minutes, depending upon the size of your garden. But if you do these things in the beginning, it makes your life a lot easier in the end. If you start with a pile of crap, you're gonna end up with a pile of crap. But if you start on a solid foundation, you're gonna have a nice house. So let me show you what we're up to today around the homestead. So we got a choice of work we could do on the homestead here today. We could spread some wood chips, take some of that chicken compost, put it on top of the potatoes. See the wood chip line there? Well, look what I got, a whole nother pile. Then I could also start working, have a fire, but it's about 90 degrees out right now. I still gotta keep working on the garden, but it's really hot in the sun. So I think I'm gonna take a break in the shade and spread some wood chips. Work never stops. I just want to show a nice perspective on the growth of the potatoes. This was a big garden I put in last year, and it just doesn't get enough sun. You can see the shade that's on it. It's about, I want to say noon, maybe 12:30 right now. And but potatoes seem to do well here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm making compost I feed the chickens compost. So then I'll be putting compost on top of these potatoes as they're growing. But I still gotta spread all these wood chips, I just haven't had time. So that's on the to-do list today. But look at them, they're doing great. They get really big. The animals don't seem too interested in them, so I'm not gonna waste my time or money putting fencing on this. And then you can see my asparagus right there. Still can't chop that next year. Asparagus is a long-term investment. So this is what we're starting with. It's hot. Got a lot of growth. Next week, I'll be building trellises for the whole backside. First thing we're going to do is we're going to prune suckers on the tomatoes and eggplants. We could also do zucchini and cucumber as well if they were big enough, but they're not there yet. So I'm going to take you through those first things that I do when the garden is in its first, 1 to 2 weeks. There's a few things about suckers that you need to know. Suckers grow and need to be plucked on indeterminate plants, not determinate. Determinate as in a determined amount of time to grow and to flower. Whereas an indeterminate is indeterminate. It can grow for, as long as it'll allow in the climate. So this is the main stalk. See this? Main stalk. There's a little sucker right there. That will grow off into and trick the plant to think it is the main stalk. So it'll steal energy from this. We're doing high density planting. So if I were to allow those suckers to grow, then it would cause crowding, and this technique wouldn't work. You can let the suckers grow, but it decreases the quality of the fruit and it takes longer. I've done experiments for years now. So you go in with the sucker, you pluck it, and you do this on a sunny day. Pluck right there. See that? Right there. Pluck. Look around. There's a little one. See that right there? Got it. Another one. And then I'll do that on all the tomatoes. Try to keep an eye on it. Once a week is kind of permissible. And I'll show you what happens when you let them go a little too long. You can also save it. There's a certain way. But I'm not at that stage yet. We planted these last week. It's been a week now. Working all these hours, you just gotta pay attention. Next I'm gonna do some weeding. But the garden's looking pretty solid. I don't see many weeds that we're gonna have to take out. We could also thin the carrots, have to reseed there. Looks dry. And then I'm going to show you something I do with the eggplants. I train the eggplants. So what I'm doing here is I'm training the eggplants where I want them to grow. So I want this first one here to grow towards this way, towards the wall. So I'm going to take one of these garden stakes that I purchased. I'm just going to gently place it that way and kind of encourage it which way to grow. Because this one's growing this way, this one's going to have to go this way. That one will go that way, and this one will go this way. The purpose of training the eggplant is to maximize the space. Eggplants are very similar to tomatoes in how they grow, but they're much smaller. They're like a mini, you know, these are. Wait till you see how these grow with this technique. I don't see a lot of people on the internet doing this way. Turns into artwork. Something you want to do with your carrots if you hand sow them is go through and thin them. You can kind of see some of the tight clusters, so I'll go around the other side and I'll show you just how many I take out. I just take out just a few. You don't want to be aggressive, but it's better to do this young because then as they grow older, their roots bind together and then you end up hurting the other carrots that are around the ones you thin. So you really got to get after it pretty early. Right in this stage, they're sending out third shoots. Another thing you can prune is broccoli. Doesn't hurt it, actually kind of helps it. So I've been pruning this here and there. You can eat them, toss them in salads, but if you're just kind of working around the garden and you're pruning, you can actually feed it to the chickens and they enjoy it. So let's give that a shot if you have chickens. Now I'm trying to keep the centers of these clean because it's a brassica. So with it being a brassica, you're prone to worms and other types of bugs and things like that, as well as mildews. So if you keep it nice and open in the bottom to promote breathing, then that'll certainly help contribute to a cleaner environment. So I just wanted to show a close-up of what starts to happen in these wood chips when you get a big pile like this. I wish you could feel the heat, but so there was rotted wood in here with some mushrooms on them, so some mycelium spores must get in here, and it's already cooking. You know, it starts to compost down all the microorganisms. But it's about 95 degrees out right now, and this is feels like a friggin' heater.